just don't feel the same. Just don't feel the same.
Welcome to Coming Up Comic and Film. I am your host, Kelly McGee, and today we've got a very special guest. Today we've got Nathan Oelker in the house from Kino Crew.
That's right. Kino Crew Productions, at Kino Crew Productions on Instagram and Facebook.
Shout out.
KinoCrewProductions.com.
Shout out.
There we go.
Yes.
Follow us everywhere.
Yes.
I'm looking at all the cameras. All right.
I was checking out Kino Crew's YouTube page today. You guys have quite a bit out there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we stay productive and we own all our own gear, so we can just kind of make stuff whenever we want. And we stick with a production schedule to stay active. So, we've got the shorts that we put out every year as well as our holiday specials. And we always have the camera rolling on, behind the scenes. And we always keep track of the outtakes too. So we like to get the outtakes and BTS out as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Just all the content.
Yes.
Yeah.
All the content.
All the content all the time.
Is that overwhelming to you? Things have changed in your life working in film, but nowadays there's just so much content out there.
Yeah.
How do you keep up with it? Are you a content guy? Does it get overwhelming to you sometimes?
Not really. It's I think that just my growing up being of the millennial age, I'm just used to just constant bombardment.
Yeah.
So it doesn't faze me really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So all the content.
Yeah.
Nathan.
Exactly. And it keeps eyes out. And we just we strategize this stuff, and we always like to see whatever we can as a gateway to the rest of our stuff. And if it's an outtake reel or an Instagram reel that's short and fun, or one of our holiday specials that's short and fun, anything that can get people's attention and get them to watch anything else or everything else that we have is helpful. So we just make the short form content work for us that way.
Which begs the question, and we can get into it certainly later, but
Yeah.
I know you did a feature film I in high school.
Oh, yeah.
It took you 2 years to make.
Yeah.
Which is a huge feat for a teenager.
Oh, yeah.
Have you made any other feature films?
No, just that.
Shorts?
No, just that one. It's been mostly shorts, and that's growing up in Salmonock, there wasn't much else to do, so that's my hometown. So that's what I did to just have something to do and aspire to. Yeah, yeah. No one's heard of it either. It's about 60 miles west of the city, about 20 miles south of DeKalb.
Okay.
That's the only way that I can locate it for people. I have to triangulate it around it's 60 miles west of Chicago, and then roughly halfway between Ottawa and DeKalb.
So was this a farm town?
Yeah, it's very rural, and the town has never had a population of more than 1,900 people. There's no street lights, and my high school graduating class had roughly 75 students in it. And then when you go one town over, Leland, just down Route 34, one of the recent high school graduating classes around the time that I graduated had 12 students. Wow. So yeah, it's a lot of very small towns clustered around each other.
Have you been back there?
Oh, sure. Yeah, my family still lives in the area, not in that town anymore. They sold the childhood home where I grew up in 2014. It's not a sad thing, really. It was the upkeep was too difficult, so it was time to, move to an easier situation.
Sure.
But no, my parents and the rest of my family like lives in Earlville, which is just down Route 34 from where Salmonac is, just north of Ottawa. So, yeah, so they're still out there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So the house you grew up in, what was the family life like? Do you have brothers and sisters?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I have two younger sisters, Chloe and Lily, and Chloe is 31 and Lily turns 30 this year. And so I'm the eldest. And then my parents, and there are a lot of cats. We always had cats, still do. Currently my parents, they live in the country, so it's not like a hovel where they're like, hoarding animals, but the current cat count is 11. And they also have a bird, an African gray parrot named Ozzy. And then there's a beagle in the mix too. My sister Chloe and her husband Eric have a beagle named Chewy.
Aw.
Like Chewy the chonky beagle. It's a chonky boy who loves tummy rubs.
Chonky.
Yeah. And begging strips. Those are his favorite things. And he's a big mama's boy.
Aw,
And yeah, so
cute.
that's fun.
So the house, were there any hauntings? It seems like was it an old farmhouse? Have you ever had a haunted house, or was that house haunted?
No, I don't know it to be haunted. No, it was an older house. It wasn't a farmhouse because it was in town, just next to the Route 34, which is the arterial highway through that area. But no hauntings that I know of. But like a Victorian era house, like roughly built around 1900. So like as the years went on, the maintenance got more difficult. That's why my parents were finally just like sell and get something else.
Yeah.
But like when my parents moved into it, they told me how the basement still had like a stack of coal in it because it had a coal-fired furnace until my parents moved in and started to upgrade everything. They also told me how when they moved in, a lot of the rooms didn't even have outlets yet, so they had to do like some electrical wiring to just add like electricity as well as like central HVAC to the house as well.
Wow.
So yeah, that's where it was.
So a lot of your films have like a level of spookiness to it. Like,
I think so.
Yes. The things that I've seen, I guess there's some funny things too,
Oh, yeah.
of course. But I guess what were your influences as a kid? Were you watching scary movies? Obviously you got into film early on, but tell me like the influences that kind of got you into that and what led you to make that movie in high school.
Yeah, sure. So like starting off, like while Kino Crew makes a lot of horror movies and horror comedy movies now, that's not really where I started. I started being like primarily interested in comedy. The horror movie stuff, that influence really comes from Alex, and currently that's like what's marketable.
Yeah.
And so getting butts in seats, that's how we came to do that. But the comic element is, I sort of where I fall in more. But yeah, the filmmaking story. So influences, like should I start like all the way back, or how far back you want me to go on that question?
Yeah, I guess like anything that you feel just influenced you more into, I suppose, the teenage years. Like, I know you said that you weren't like playing video games.
Oh, no.
So instead of video games, what were you doing? And
Yeah, so
what were you watching?
Oh, okay. Yeah, like my hobbies have always been like creative. Like when I was a kid, I liked like playing with blocks and playing with Legos, like building things is always like what I like to do. So watching, like a lot of cartoons as a kid, like Nickelodeon was my jam. Before that, like WTTW, before we had satellite, because we only had antenna TV until like, starting around 1999. Childhood movies I liked, like, I don't know how many times I've seen The Wizard of Oz and Willy Wonka, because we had those VHSs, and I knew how to use the VCR before I knew how to use the phone, probably. Yeah, so influences like anything on Nickelodeon, SpongeBob, or Rocko's Modern Life, early comedy stuff. Mr. Bean, 100%, like because we had Channel 11, so Mr. Bean was on there. So like that's like the earliest thing I can remember like watching that I thought was like actively funny. and a little bit of Cartoon Network stuff. Eventually got up to like The Simpsons and Malcolm in the Middle. Mad TV was a huge one too. Like Comedy Central used to run it at 4 o'clock, so I'd get home from school and like my TV viewing habits were like 4 o'clock. Malcolm in the Middle was on, then The Simpsons was on at 5, and then Malcolm in the Middle at 5:30, and then The Simpsons again at 6. So that was my evening.
Yeah.
Eventually got up to Monty Python and
Cool.
the Lord of the Rings movies, and so I think those are South Park, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's very typical of like late 90s, early thousands kind of cultural influences. But yeah, so you asked about the feature film. So the feature film, why don't we give the background on that, and I can kind of
Yeah.
where that came in. Yeah, so the feature film called The Escape from Death Mountain, and sort of like a medieval fantasy movie. So again, I said Lord of the Rings and Monty Python, so Holy Grail, of course, and Lord of the Rings was like one of those big movies that made me want to make movies when I was younger, especially like once I understood them, like got to teenage age. And also too, like this is also a huge part of my influences as well. Like you hear people talk about the VCR, or like the video rental generation, like like the Quentin Tarantino, Paul Thomas Anderson sort of generation of filmmakers, where that was the first generation of filmmakers that had access to VHS rental, so they could sort of make their own film school watching through home video. I'm thinking that like the age I'm at now, or like people of my age, that should be like the DVD featurette generation, because when I get a new movie on DVD, like I'd watch the special features first because I wanted to learn how they did everything before I ever watched the movie.
Cool.
And like around that time too, I probably watched the movies with the director and filmmaker commentaries more than I ever watched the movie without it, because I just wanted to get all the anecdotes and learn how to do everything.
Yeah.
And that's how I taught myself how to do a lot of stuff. And the like Lord of the Rings was a huge part of that, because the extended DVDs had, two of the DVDs had the movie on them, and then the extra two had all the special features on it. So that's how I taught myself how to do a lot of things. So yeah, The Escape from Death Mountain, very much influenced by, Lord of the Rings 100%, because I love the like epic filmmaking, and Monty Python because I like the comedy. A little bit of David Lean in there as well, like watching like Bridge on the River Kwai and Dr. Zhivago especially. Those are movies that like taught me what cinematography was, just sort of what I do now. I've been described as like, out of the Kino Crew, like I'm like the TCM like influence guy, because those are like where all my influences are, and then like Alex will have like some B horror movies that I've never heard of that like we watch, and I'm like, this is awesome, and I see where you're coming from. So yeah, that's a bit about influences.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Wow. So how did you film that movie? What kind of camera did you use to film that movie in high school?
Okay, yeah. They were used I shot those with my Panasonic mini DV cameras, the Panasonic PVGS 19 and PVGS 80 for some shots. Mostly the 19, because that's when I started filming it on, and I needed to make sure that the like format stayed the same, like the shooting format. The PVGS 19 had a letterbox feature on it that was a matted letterbox formatting, and I was like, oh, this is cool. I have to shoot it like this so it looks like an actual movie. So I think I did the whole thing with that, because the PVGS 80s had like a 16:9 setting on them that was not matted. So I just shot it with the same camera, so it all looked the same. So that's what I used, and I edited it on Windows Movie Maker, just on my parents' PC. And I used that camera for both. I didn't have very much equipment to work with, so I used that camera for both filming and for recording sound effects.
Wow.
And then because like it was digital quality, so I was like, oh, perfect, just record the sound effects with the lens cap on. And then I could like upload it into the computer.
Smart.
It wasn't sophisticated, but it worked.
Yeah.
And then like the Windows Movie Maker only had like one track for mixing, so I didn't know it was called this at the time, but I did basically what bouncing is, which is like what they would used to do before like big multi-track recording. Do you know what bouncing is? Mm-mm. So it's basically it's when you record as many as you can as many effects as you can get on a single track, and then you like export or save it, and then record more things on top of it.
Okay.
That's like what they used to have to do before, like rock musicians used to have to do before 16-track recording, when they only had 4-track recording.
Gotcha.
Like when the Beatles did Sgt. Pepper, like there was constant bouncing happening because their ideas were too expansive for the technology of the time, and all they had was 4-track recording. So if they, like if they're doing a song like For the Benefit of Mr. Kite or something like that has like a million effects in it, they basically have to like use 4 tracks doing their effects on one track, and then we would call it exporting now. They call it something different back then, and then put those 4 tracks on one track and then record everything else on the other tracks. So yeah, I didn't know that what that was called, but I had to do bouncing to make it work. Eventually it worked out and the thing got done.
And who'd you use to act in it? Just like your friends and family?
Oh sure, yeah, friends and family, exactly. Like like my friend Robbie, who I went to high school with, he played like both the protagonist and the antagonist. I didn't realize how complicated that would be until we were actually filming it, and I was like, oh damn, like I have to do a lot of cutting to make this work. But then I taught myself how to do editing to make it work. And my friend Bill, who currently lives in the Kansas City area with his wife and 3 kids, he played this role of like the king, and I was the best man at his wedding. So so that's fun. My sister played like there's like a king and a queen and a their son and another son. That's roughly the story. Like I had my sister play the part of the queen along with my friend who played the king, and then like the neighbor kid next door played one of the roles too. And then yeah, I basically just gathered together whoever I could get, and like arrange basically what we do now, arranging filming on like weeknights or like weekends or whenever we could get people available. So that's basically where like all my logistical skills came about, because I was navigating under much more difficult conditions because it was high school. So you got to deal with, parents and permissions and all these things.
Yeah.
And so good training ground.
Neat.
I've applied all those things to today.
Cool.
Yeah.
So you just knew at a young age that you wanted to make movies, but you also knew it was possible, and saw that it could be actually done, and that led you into what next?
Oh yeah, 100%. Because around the time that I was teaching myself how to do all of that, that was at the same time that things just became easier because of digital video at the time, mini DV cameras and editing on PCs and so forth. So yeah, that was how I learned it was achievable, because the tech at the time was like catching up with the democratization of the art form. Yeah.
Well, and something else, you like editing.
Oh yeah.
And I should mention that you also did do animation. Do you tell me about that? That's interesting.
Oh, sure. Yeah, animation is how I actually started into filmmaking, because going back, like some of my like favorite creative activities going back to when I was a kid, or like that all started because as long as I can remember, I've liked to draw. Like drawing was like the first like creative activity I liked as a kid, really. So like I'd always be like doodling in class or whatever when I had like time to kill. And I always liked comics, like newspaper comic strips, Garfield especially. Like I had a bunch of Garfield books when I was a kid, and I just found like the dry humor like very funny. So that kind of thing I liked. I don't know anything about comic books, but I know a lot about Garfield. So like when the book fairs would come along, and I always want to buy a new Garfield book. Yeah, like it got to the point where I thought like it'd be cool to, how do you make the leap from, what's the next step? How do we take this from stills to something different? So I basically, I did my best to teach myself, and I got, assistance from the, supportive adults in my life, my parents and so forth, to like learn how to make animated cartoons. And eventually, yeah, that led me to, making cartoons with backgrounds that I made with watercolor and colored pencil.
Wow.
And transparencies with overhead projector acetate. And I taught myself how they like versions of how they do that in the or how they would do that in the days of hand drawn animation. I basically taught myself what I learned later was xerography, where I would draw I would draw the drawings on pieces of like computer paper, and we had a fax machine growing up that had a copy function on it.
Yeah.
So I would draw the animation and then I would copy them onto cells because it was easier than like inking the cells. And later I learned that's what the Disney company ended up doing with 101 Dalmatians going forward. That's why those movies have the scratchy look and the earlier ones don't. So I taught myself how to do that and using acrylic paint to paint them. And then I photographed them using just like a 1/2-inch video camcorder that my parents had. It didn't have a single frame function on it, so I basically just had to like hit record and then hit pause as fast as I could. So those they have a real choppy look to them, but you can tell the intent. So, but yeah, I did that for like roughly a year and a half, and then as they say, I got lazy and got into filmmaking. I started with animation, then got lazy and got into filmmaking because
it's so funny. I heard you say that earlier on Rose.
Yeah, I saw that in a YouTube video about someone who had like similar like interests, I got into filmmaking, short filmmaking after that. But that's how I started getting into filmmaking overall. But turned to live action pretty quickly.
Yeah. So naturally, you went to film school. You knew you wanted to make movies, and so after high school, film school, correct?
A little bit. So after high school, I started film school at the Illinois Institute of Art Schaumburg, which is no longer there.
Wow.
That's a long story. I could get into that if you want. After high school, that was my destination. We did consider Columbia College to start with, but like we went to one of their events that they had for potential students, and they didn't have a lot of film stuff there. So I thought like, all right, this is a bit of a letdown. We should look for something else. That's what I thought at the time. So after I finished high school, I started in the what do they call it? Digital video and digital filmmaking something. There was a name of what the degree was. I don't remember it, at the Illinois Institute of Art Schaumburg, or ILIS as they called it. And I started there. I went there for 3 quarters. They were on a quarter system rather than a semester one. So I commuted there and I was doing okay. Like the gen eds were a bit difficult in all those situations, like trying to balance gen eds with the creative classes can be kind of difficult. But they had this program of automatic tuition increases every year, no matter what. And it was blatantly a for-profit college. And at that time, too, this was 2010, so the national dialogue turned from, moral panics over gay marriage to, like, looking at student debt and, like, in these issues of higher education. And there were, kind of like problematic sounding stories in the news about for-profit colleges and student debt and all that kind of thing during, like, that first part of Obama's first term. And that combined with these automatic tuition increases, my parents and I just had to like make these like hard calls, and I was just like, yeah, I don't know about this anymore, or like this institution anymore, and they were just like, yeah, we get it. So we kind of just pulled the plug on that, and I basically started over at community college, and that was great because it was inexpensive enough that I was able to pay for like everything myself going forward, which was a lot better. And just, it was nice because I could see where my money was going, and it was a bit more empowering and gave me a clearer sense of direction than I had at the going to the art school. So yeah, basically started over, but I learned some things at ILIS that are still helpful now. Like one of the classes I took was a sound design class, And some of the stuff from that I've applied to what we've done for Kino Crew and since then. Yeah, so the rest of my college education wasn't film school related. There are actually some long periods where I didn't do much filmmaking at all because I was just trying to get through school and I didn't have a lot of collaborators to work with. But yeah, got my associates at Waubonsee Community College, associates in English. But during that time, if you want more of the comedy stuff, that's when I started taking Second City classes. I can go into that.
Cool, yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah, no matter what, like, if it wasn't filmmaking, I was always doing a little bit of something. So, after I left, film school, so I'm kind of a film school dropout. That's a fun way to say it. After I finished up at ILS and started at Waubonsee, I was a little directionless. I was always trying something creative, but, 2010 was a weird year because that's the year that I had to leave film school and start over at community college. And I was like, all right, what now? What do I do now to stay, directed at something? And some family friends of ours one of whom worked with my mom, she and her husband suggested that I look into improv classes at the Second City. And I was like, okay, let me look into that because more of the backstory in high school, and filmmaking before then, I did do some performing in my early short films, like if I did video sketches or comedy stuff. Because I was, as I mentioned earlier, I was inspired by Mad TV, a little bit of SNL, but mostly Mad TV, a little bit of Monty Python too, and so that led to something of an interest in performing in heavy character roles. And when I was in high school, I was in one of the school plays that we did. It was, as I mentioned earlier, a small town with a small high school, so we got one play a year. There were some years when they did 2 a year, but at the time we just had one. But in my senior year, I performed in the play and I played 4 different roles. Wow. That was neat. Yeah, it was called the Grimm Fairy Tale Spectaculathon, and it was this fractured fairy tale mashup of a whole bunch of fairy tales in a row. It made a pretty coherent story. The 4 parts I played the Frog Prince, I played Rumpelstiltskin, and I played God, and I also played a lumberjack. And when I played Rumpelstiltskin, I walked on my knees, basically doing yogurt from Spaceballs. And God was an off-screen voice. There's basically a scene where this character yells, "Why, God, why?" And I respond off stage. And then for the lumberjack, when I walked on stage, I sang a little bit of the Monty Python lumberjack song as just an intro.
Wow.
Yeah, the director let me throw that in. So that was cool. Anyway, so yeah, I always had a little bit of interest in performing because I was a really shy kid growing up, but that kind of gave me some confidence. And I've learned that there are other performers like that who say I'm a shy person. I'm not like this anymore because I'm almost 35 and I don't care anymore. Mm-hmm. But some performers I've seen interviews with have said similar things. In person, I'm very shy, but if I get to play a character, I'm suddenly very outgoing because it's a mask. And I was like, okay, that works too.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I always had that interest, and when the Second City classes were suggested to me, I'm like, yeah, let me look into that because I need to do something. Because at the time I was just going to school and working at a bar and grill for my day job. And I was like, I gotta do something else instead of just getting alcohol poisoning every weekend because that was kind of the only option out there. So I started the Second City training class, the adult program, in March of 2011. Early March 2011. And ended up going through all 5 levels A through E. And some of the people I was in class with are my collaborators to this day. And 2 of them are in Loads, actually. Yeah, the part of the boss and the part of the doctor. Those characters, Martha and Andy, they're my OG Second City classmates going back 2016, 15 years now. So where are we going with this? Yeah, so when I was in community college, while there was no filmmaking at the time, there was the Second City classes, so that kept me that kept me active.
So did you know you always wanted to come to Chicago? Like, was Chicago something that you thought about as a kid? Do people talk about like the big city or?
Not a little bit here and there, but not a whole lot. But like by the time I got to college and I started like getting interested in performing and like artistic stuff, I was like, that's gonna just end up having to be the move. Yeah, and like at the time there were people like when people used to ask me about when I used to tell people about filmmaking, they'd be like, "Oh, when are you gonna go to Hollywood?" And it turned out lucky that never was the path of like the way the labor has gone out there. So yeah,
Right.
yeah.
The Midwest is hot.
Yeah, I mean it is, and in Hollywood is just like a lot of people not working because of massive outsourcing, filming elsewhere where the tax benefits are better, the strikes, residue from the strikes, COVID, etc. So it's just like maybe there's the times when you think like you wonder if, but like history has like panned out like to where that was not the good option. Through no one's fault. That's just how it went.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, you were meant to be here. I understand. So basically, the Second City, you completed the Second City training, or what do they call that? Like,
Okay, yeah, that was just, I don't know what they call it now, but at the time it was just called the Second City Improv program in like for people 18 and up. So I was 19 when I started that, so I was just about the right. It was about the earliest you could start that. Yeah, and that's just I don't know how it's set up now, but like at the time when you described levels A through E, like everyone knew that that's what you're referring to, just like the opening 5 levels. And it also at the time, I don't know if the prerequisites have changed, but it was the levels A through E that you had to get through, as well as 1 or 2 of the straight acting classes. Those were the requirements to audition for the conservatory. And I did take 1 of the acting classes, but I didn't end up auditioning for the conservatory because other things were demanding my time. And that was also a time when I realized, like, I've learned a lot and this has been really helpful, but I still like filmmaking more. That was sort of a turning point too. Like 2012 was when I did that acting class. And at that point I was like, I really want to stick with the filmmaking, but I've learned a whole lot doing this that's really applicable. Like when it comes to talking with actors, like I don't direct currently, I just produce, but like when the 3 Kino Crew fellows are on set, or even 2 of us, like I can analyze what's going on and give suggestions. But like those classes like taught me how to talk to actors.
yeah.
With constructive feedback and not condescending stuff. You learn like, don't give line readings unless you ask permission. Don't act it out unless like, you ask permission first of the actor. You want to like let an actor act and do their part. Those classes also taught me about beat work too. So,
What's beat work?
oh, basically when you take a script or whatever piece of media that you're working off, and in order to figure out how to portray the character, you look for where basically you look for where all the changes in the story happen. That's a very vague way of putting it. You look for like where the characters like motivations and wants change in order to get the performance together, so
Gotcha.
so that you can figure out how the character is like driven internally. And make the actions truthful. Truthful actions in imaginary circumstances.
So you're more on the production side of things now.
Yeah.
You've been on both sides of things. Do you have a desire to be back on the big screen yourself and acting in some of these things?
That would be fun. Yeah. Like the thing is, I love producing and editing and post, or like in the cinematography too for the time being. Those are the roles I currently follow. But if I were given like some fun acting, like some fun character roles to do, I'd jump at that because that would be a lot less stressful because I'm not responsible for anything at that point.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't be I would never be like producing and acting and something at the same time. But like if and also like the kind of performing that I've done is always been like very specifically like very heavy character roles. That's what I have fun with. I wouldn't want to be a lead in something that's too much pressure. And I like goofy character roles. That's what is fun to do. Anything with a silly voice and a silly costume. But if that kind of opportunity came up, I would jump at that. Be like, yeah, sure. Like, what do you want me to do? I get to show up and eat snacks from Crafty, and the rest of the time I can just get some work done on my laptop. And I don't have to be responsible for the
Sounds
budget.
easy, right?
Exactly. After being on the producing and management,
Right.
production and management side, I just get to hang out.
I know, it's so funny because after doing this and like setting up all the cameras and the mics and stuff, like when I go to other things that are like not this or not comedy and caviar, like less involved, I'm like, this is so easy.
Yeah.
Like just to go hang out is like, this is easy. I can do this. But yeah, that means that you're just working hard, and I salute you for that, because you've had a busy life. I know you said that you actually lost count of how many shorts you've made.
Yeah, I need to update the list. I kept a master list, and the last time I updated it was during the COVID shelter in place period. So it needs about 5 years of updating.
That's a lot. That's a lot. Now, I heard you were talking about this little skit you did where you were like mocking politicians, just like, and I found that funny. Like,
Oh yeah.
tell me a little bit about that.
Oh yeah, that was so after like a period of not really making a lot of shorts, yeah, that was a sketch that I made with my Second City classmates at the time. It was the 2012 election. It's like, the last normal one. And I thought it would be fun to make a political ad that was as like literal and blatant as possible. And that's where that idea came about.
Funny.
Yeah. So I don't think it's on YouTube currently, but I got the video files. I can share them.
But what was the example you gave on Ruse where you were like, I'm walking in the forest. I'm about to, like, I'm asking for your vote.
Oh yeah, yeah. It was, yeah. I just thought like it'd be funny if there were an ad that were that literal, where a candidate on camera is doing all the things you're supposed to do. Like, here's a shot of me with my family. Here's a shot of me walking through nature in my district.
Yes.
Here's my opponent going through a dumpster because he's a creep. I thought like it'd be fun if that were just if it were that like literal.
That's funny. I like that.
And so yeah, that was a short that we put together in like fall of 2012. It was a fun little shoot, and yeah, with location footage and stuff that we shot in the city on weekends. Yeah, nights and weekends. That's the most time we can film stuff.
Cool. So I understand that you began working in the theater. We're working with some Columbia students. And it was around that time when you met Josh from Kino Crew? Or tell me about when that whole thing began to formulate the Kino Crew connection.
Oh yeah, definitely. So yeah, when I finally relocated permanently to the city in 2013. Prior to that, I'd been commuting pretty extensively for 2 years because I was living at home and going to community college and doing the Second City stuff when I could come in. So a lot of metro trips and occasional driving in the car that I had, but mostly on the train to save gas money. But yeah, 2013 is when I moved, finally. That was after I finished up at community college, and I transferred to UIC to finish up my bachelor's degree. And when I moved permanently, I was like, I need another job, so I just started applying, and I got a job at the AMC River East 21, and I began working there the Monday before Memorial Day weekend of May 20th, 2013. And yeah, after I'd worked there for about a year, it was the following May of 2014 that through a mutual friend who I was working with who went to Columbia with Josh. That's how I met Josh. Basically, it was like, you want to meet my friend Josh? He's going to come see the movie. Okay. So yeah, I think I met Josh like the first time I met him was at the Naf Grill on Michigan Avenue, wherever that one is, like the one that's between Randolph and Wacker. And yeah, that's where I met Josh for the first time, and he was a repeat attendee at the theater. Don't tell nobody, but he would ask me to sign him into movies for free, and I would do it until they changed the policy because other people were abusing it, not me. And then yeah, so that's how I met Josh, and then it was August of that same year. I think August 1st. I wrote it down in my day planner so I can bring it up or remember it. But that's when I met Alex for the first time. That was at another mutual friend's apartment before going to the old, what used to be the Roosevelt, whatever it was called. The one on Roosevelt that had all the speakers in it. Icon, to go see the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie. And now it's something else. I think it's an AMC something else. But yeah, August 1st, 2014 was the first time the three of us met up or hung out together for the first time and saw the movie. So adorbs. And we sort of like we inadvertently sort of commemorated it this past year because it was the same date, 11 years later that we saw the Naked Gun with Liam Neeson at the same theater. And I pointed it out.
Adorbs.
Yeah, adorbs. Yeah. We also, this is also where I come in because I'm like the record keeper because I do the kind of the PMing side of everything. But like, we also have the date that we worked on set for the first time, and it was on Instagram. What we did is we did like a before and after picture of, it was October 4th, 2014. So October 4th, 2024, we dropped this like before and after picture of us, like the three of us on set. It was pretty cool. You can see that on Instas. You just gotta scroll back over a year.
Cool. So
Yeah,
did you know there was like something special happening? Like the first night you guys met, did you guys talk about movies all night?
I don't remember that much in detail, but like we all like were friendly from that point on, and like we were staying in contact, and eventually like a Facebook chat got started and where we were sharing news and stories and things like that. But like it was like that first time that we worked on a movie together. It was a short film that I directed and threw together because I was like, I want to do something now that we have all these people together. So that it was that project. It was called Wine. That's the one that we shot in October 2014. That was the first time we all worked together.
Wine with a W.
Yeah. That's the one. It's sort of a cringy satire, but it was the project that we first worked on together. So it has its place in the story.
Yeah. Cool.
That's the fun thing about filmmaking. There are no filmmaking prodigies. Everyone makes a lot of bad movies before they make a good one. Yeah, there's no like Mozarts of movies. There's no one that has like perfect pitch in filmmaking. You always make a couple bad ones before you make a good one.
I thought it was interesting you were talking about in the interview, again, with Ruth that I watched earlier, Pee-wee's Big Adventure. How the people from that had, like, they basically read a book on how to write the ideal screenplay, and that's how they made the movie?
Yeah, basically, yeah. Yeah, you can look this. Yeah, the story can be looked up as well if more details are needed than I can remember. But yeah, the version I read is that when Paul Rubens and the rest of the creative team were given the opportunity to make Pee-wee's Big Adventure, none of them knew how to write a feature-length screenplay. So they just got a book about how to write a screenplay. I think it was the Sid Fields book or something like that, and just followed it letter for letter to write the screenplay. And then the movie that resulted was basically what was written. And so yeah, Pee-wee's Big Adventure of all movies is kind of pointed to as like a textbook perfect example of how to write your basic screenplay.
Crazy.
So yeah, that's kind of fun.
Who would have thought Pee-wee's Big Adventure was that poignant a work of art, although, I mean, I definitely watched it as a kid, but yeah, at that time, it was just entertaining, where now it's like you can look back and see like the brilliance of it, like the comedy, But yeah, as a kid, you almost just, they made it look so easy.
Right.
Just like, I'm just laughing. This is great.
Yeah.
Let's get into Kino Crew. Tell me more about that.
Sure. What do you want to? I mean, I could ramble about it forever. Where do you want me to start?
What brought you guys to the point where you decided, let's make this official, let's make our own production company?
Oh, yeah, perfect. So, a little bit more of the backstory because this explains it. Prior to the formation of Kino Crew, we all worked on each other's projects, starting with Wine, the one that I made, or that I directed and spearheaded in 2014. And then we all worked on other senior projects that other friends of ours did. Like our friend Matt, who's in California, we keep trying to get him to move back so he can join. But we all worked on a short that he did. The three of us helped him. And then Alex made his senior feature, or his senior short film called The Kick. And we filmed that in the spring of 2015, and that was his like May 2015 graduation project. We all worked on that as well, and that's how things continued for the next couple of years. Like we'd all work in each other's projects, but it was always a matter of like one person who was like spearheading and bringing it together, and then we would help out as whatever capacity that we could. But it was never like a sort of equalized effort approach. And then COVID hit, and of course, with everyone, that changes everything. But after COVID let up, we started making new projects again. The first one that we worked on after COVID was the Even the Scale video for Steve-O Nystrom and Nystradamus. Have you seen or heard about that one?
No, but I know Steve-O.
Yeah, it was a music video that we did for his band Nystradamus in fall of 2021, and that's what got us moving again finally. And but like the projects from the years before, like things like Head Over Heels or Pumpkin Pie or any of the Burnout Boutique shorts, were all cases of like one person had the idea in the script and was sort of spearheading and managing it, and the others would help out. But then like after 2022 started, and we were like, okay, so things are finally okay with the public health situation. Let's look at what to do next. Let's look at some old scripts that we wanted to do 2 years ago and see what we might make again. We basically just started meeting to talk about ideas and like what we might want to do next. And the first meeting of like, we consider March 1st of 2022 to be the first like Kino Crew meeting. We basically just had like a video chat meeting after everyone got off of work one day to just like talk through what we might want to work on. And that's when we thought, okay, let's get Cottonmouth moving again. Alex's screenplay for the sock puppet movie, as it's called.
I watched it.
Cool. Like that started off as just a trailer idea, but then we're like, okay, like all the full flesh of like new creative inspiration. We're like, let's just make this a short film, and let's have the pregnancy be like part of the storyline. Let's see if Alex's sister Nicole wants to be in it because she was like real life pregnant at the time. Oh, cool. Let's see if Kyle, her husband, wants to be in it too. Wow. Who can play this part? Oh, let's ask Uncle Tico. So it all came together very quickly before like the company was even started, and before we knew it, we had gotten a new movie in the can, and so Cottonmouth came together, and we're like, okay, how do we do this now? Do we just proceed with it like we did the others, where it's every project is kind of a one-off, or do we put some an entity together? And that's where like my kind of skills and knowledge come in. The past several years, I had either like been a partner in or like founded LLCs, so I was familiar with how to do the small business stuff. And I thought to myself, okay, we're sort of going toward this after working together for so long. I think it's time that we figured like, okay, it's time to like pool our efforts like on an equal production basis, the three of us, instead of like the one person spearheading and two people helping. So we started just kind of building the blocks toward that. As Cottonmouth was coming together, we're like, okay, we definitely want to release this. We want to do film festivals. We want to do all the things with it. So that summer of 2022, as Cottonmouth is in post production, we made the decision early on. Let's release it October 1st. Okay, let's call ourselves something finally, because we never really did that before as the three of us. And So we thought about it, and thought like, okay, let's. Eventually, we came up with Kino Crew. That was a several week process of brainstorming, but finally, we're like, it's an alliteration, and Kino and Crew both have four letters in them, so that's going to be easy for graphic design at some point.
Yeah.
And there was nothing when we did a little bit of search engine checking. There was nothing else that came up for that. So we're like, perfect, this is ours. So we grabbed the domain, and we got the logo designed by Josh's friend Sarah, and everything started coming together. And we claimed the social media handles, and it all started coming together. So
Nice.
at first we're like, okay, let's just think let's draft a resolution that this is an entity that we're gonna work under.
Mm-hmm.
So we decided, okay, we're gonna call it Kino Crew, and this intellectual property going back to this day with Cottonmouth will be part of this umbrella. Okay, let's establish the intent to form an LLC if we get to that point. Cool. And so I did the research on how to make the multi-member LLC work for the three of us, and did a little PowerPoint presentation to talk about it, because there are legal things that you got to do to make sure it works for everyone because of pass-through taxation and other type things.
Yeah.
Which I was familiar with, but they weren't, so I made sure that they all knew what it entailed, and they were all on board with it. So I thought, okay, we'll start this thing. So we finished Cottonmouth, and then we actually did the first Gobblehead. And while we were doing the first Gobblehead is when I started getting the paperwork filed and the formation going for Kino Crew, and we kind of signed all these resolutions going forward in writing that we wanted to do this. So it was all documented, and the LLC formation date was November 28th, 2022. And from that point, we got everything else together: the EIN, the bank account, the operating agreement. And when we signed the operating agreement, I was just like, okay, now we're business married, because it's all official now. There's an entity, and we're all on board for it. So that's how it came about. It was just a recognition that after nearly 10 years at that point of working together, okay, we all like this, no one's going anywhere, and let's make it happen. At that, and also too, maybe age plays a little part of it as well. At that point, I was in my 30s, Alex was about to turn 30, and Josh was going to turn 30 the following year. So we're just okay, no one's going to do the move to LA thing. There are strikes all the time there anyway, and no work there anyhow. And we all like working together, and we have our community of people here, our collaborators who we built up over the years. Mm-hmm. So this is what we're doing, and we're gonna move ahead this direction. Yeah. So it was just a long it was just a recognition of how things what the dynamic was at that point, and the agreement to all right, let's make it official with the entity.
Nice.
And that's how it's been going since then. And we've just figured out how to make it work easy, to make sure it stays legitimate, because you got to do the things to maintain the corporate veil. We have a company meeting each month that has an agenda and a minutes afterward. This is more of my sort of ops experience. When I joined my building's condo board, I sort of learned how to do those things from a more official standpoint, and I just brought those practices over to what we do now.
Yeah.
So we have the meetings going. I keep the books. We have the bank account, so we know where the money's going. We as part of our meetings, we have a profit and loss statement each month that I prepare and show. We do the tax things. Every year we get the tax paperwork filed up. That's actually one of my tasks to do this coming weekend, is get the annual profit and loss statement taken care of, so we can get the taxes done. I'm not a lawyer or an accountant. I just know how to do these things from the most basic at the most basic skill level, but it works.
Yeah, hell yeah.
And there's not enough money going in and out yet for anyone to notice, so it works out that way too.
That's awesome. That had to have felt good, to make everything official, and you're doing everything very orderly, like having the monthly meeting, keeping the minutes, keeping a budget, like you're keeping track of all the stuff that nobody really wants to keep track of.
Oh yeah, exactly. Because like, and it's not just for its own sake. It's because if we get to the point where we want to make a feature film and we want to raise, capital, we need to show we're legitimate. So then that was also part of the pitch early on. Like, hey, look, we all want to make the feature. Everyone always wants to make the feature film, but we're going to have to fundraise for this thing through whatever crowdfunding or private investment, what have you. We have to make it look like we know what we're doing. We can't just look silly. We have to, we need to present the face that we are a business. We have the entity, and we're not. Can I swear on this?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not going to fuck around with people's money. So, that was all part of it too. And we're just like, okay, that's what we want to do. We want to do the big projects that will need that kind of investment, and we want to look serious about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that kind of undergirds everything we do, from like how the business entity is run, and to how we do social media, and like how we run our sets. Because we want to look like we want people to know that we know what we're doing. So when we want people's help, or we have to solicit investment, we have a higher chance of success.
Of course. Let's talk a little bit about the Gobblehead
Oh yeah.
series, and then I want to get into Load.
Oh my god. All right, cool. We'll start with Gobblehead.
Yeah, Gobblehead, baby.
Cool. So yeah, I can speak to it as much as I can from my experience, but that started with Steve Nystrom and Alex. So pre-pandemic, they had the idea. I think Steve brought it up first and brought it to Alex's attention, but it basically started with the idea of a deranged serial killer with a turkey on his head, killing people. And I pointed out from the beginning, I was like, Mr. Bean did that in Merry Christmas, Mr. Bean. So maybe not that, but something similar to that. And so that idea was always kind of around. As far as I can remember, like 2019, 2020, again, that started with Alex and Steve-O. They can tell the story better than I. But as far as I know, that's where the origins came in. And after Cottonmouth was finished, of course, we were really excited with how well it was received among our friends and family. We just released that first one onto YouTube because we're we just want to get a new movie out there and show people we're making stuff again.
Yeah.
But it got good reception from friends of ours, and we got it into a couple, non-competitive screenings like Big Picture Chicago and related arenas. It got into some film festivals too, and we thought okay, let's think about what the follow-up is going to be. So we did a lot of brainstorming, and so this is October 2022. And we realized, okay, Thanksgiving is coming up. Let's revisit this Gobblehead idea. And so the first Gobblehead production was literally insane. We talked about a little bit about things throughout October. October 22 was kind of quiet and slow because we just finished Cottonmouth, so it was a little bit of a breather. But I can look up the dates. I think it was Sunday. Saturday, November 5th, we got together to hold a little brainstorming meeting, and everyone just kind of brought notes, and we just talked through ideas for what could be next, what's feasible to do, so forth. The Gobblehead idea came up. Okay, maybe we could do this for Thanksgiving like we did Cottonmouth for spooky season. Okay, well, we would have to act on it quickly if we moved ahead on it. All right, let's think about it. Following day, I went to hang out with Alex. That was Sunday the 6th of November. And Steve-O joined us for a little bit, and we started talking, and we realized, okay, if we do, a trailer idea, we could feasibly get this out in time. It'd be a rush, but we could do it. We have the skills, and we own all our own equipment. We just need the people and the materials. And from that point, took off like a rocket. So, immediately, Alex just started He started looking at Amazon. He sent like Josh and I a list of things he wanted to buy off Amazon, makeup supplies and costume supplies. He really dived in head first on that because of like the makeup and special effects and horror elements, because that's where he lives and breathes.
Yeah.
And we're just like, all right, we're doing this now. We're doing another movie already. And we had Steve-O's help on production. So basically, Alex moved ahead buying all the things on Amazon, got a script together, a script that like we went pretty off book on it, like by the end of it, because we were just coming up with a lot of extra bits and things like that, and it came together in editing. We started filming the first Gobblehead the Thursday before Thanksgiving 2022. So, I'm like reliving it now and like breathing heavy. So like Thursday was the first day that we started filming with a little bit of, the first shots we did were of Timmy, Alex's brother Tim at the beginning and end of it. And it was about 40 degrees outside. It was like the first cold, Fahrenheit. It was like the first like cold day of the year. And we put him outside and like covered him in fake blood and got all these shots of him outside, like shirtless, in their back garden. And then he actually caught COVID not long after that. So like when we share the BTS of that, Alex will like comment on social media and be like, right here you can see where Tim got COVID for the first time. But that leads to more cool parts of the story, actually. So
Which I gotta say, I love Alex and Tim Perez. I love.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Shout out to Alex and Tim.
Well, the whole clan, the twins too, also into improv and acting.
The twins.
Yeah, Nicole and Jackie, they're sisters.
I didn't realize they're twins.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So that was the first day. Then we filmed a little bit on Friday. Then we did a little bit more on Saturday. And then Sunday, the Sunday before Thanksgiving was the big day. That was the day for all the group scenes. And that's where Steve like came in clutch, as the kids say, with casting and location, because we used our friend James, all the J names, our friend James' family's house to film all that stuff, the interiors, and it was like this perfect like interior that had like all this like good like carpeting and like wood furniture, and it was like, oh, perfect. This looks like the house that this needs to take place in.
Yeah, but don't get fake blood anywhere.
Exactly, we were very careful about that, and basically like brought in as many like friends of ours, extended network as we could to just like populate the dinner scene. And that was our 4 days of filming, and we got it all in the can in that time.
Yeah.
And immediately started editing. Alex and I are really good at holding all-nighters, especially for post-production. We just like brew a lot of coffee and just get to work. And that's what this involved. We were just like, let's get this out this week. Maybe it'll come out by Thanksgiving, maybe it won't, but like we can get it out this week and it'll still be like festive.
Yeah. At
least. Because Christmas is coming up, whatever. Just get it out there. We'll make a big splash with it. Those 4 days of filming got in the can. Monday after work, fortunately Alex was off on that Tuesday. So he came over to my condo on Monday night, and I had like the Final Cut project set up, and we just started editing, and we basically got a first good solid assembly of it done. It was nearly what the picture lock was just that night, staying up real late, and then we got moving again the following morning. And then that Tuesday evening, we actually, this is a real whirlwind couple of days. That Tuesday evening, we went to a screening of Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio movie at the Music Box, and it was one that del Toro himself was joining via a video link or video chat. So they showed the movie, and then Guillermo was on the screen talking about it, and they were able to ask him questions. So he joined it virtually, so virtual Q&A with del Toro after the movie was over. All during the first Gobblehead production period. And that turned out to be a good meeting up, because Josh does our color grading. He's very good at that, and he likes doing it. So at that Music Box meetup, I gave him our drive that had the Final Cut project on it so he could go do the color grading. Then he did the color grading that night and that morning, and then brought it back to me Wednesday. And then I basically spent the next 48 hours doing all the sound design and the final picture lock editing. Wow. And then that one we released on Friday. on Black Friday of 2022.
Nice. So you made it just right after Thanksgiving. Still like perfect timing on Black Friday.
Yeah, it worked out because it's just like it's still the holidays.
Yeah.
You know, people are busy with the holiday the week of, and like a year from now, no one will remember the day that it came out. It'll just be part of the canon.
Yeah.
So
So now
that was the first Gobblehead.
you guys have done 4 Gobbleheads. The last one, the 4th one.
Oh yeah.
That was the first time you and I met.
Yeah.
I was doing B-roll, and you guys were shooting. It was the final day of shooting for Gobblehead 4, the pickup shots, I believe.
So that was like the final. That wasn't quite the final day. That was the final day that any actors were involved. So like, arguably final day of principal photography because we did 2 more days of just random pickups after that.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Yeah. But yeah, that's when you were there, and doing the behind the scenes footage.
Yeah. Have you gotten a chance to see any of that? I sent it to Alex.
Oh yeah, no, he sent it to me too. I have it in the archive.
I think I uploaded it to your file, yeah.
Yeah, I downloaded it. I scrolled through it a little bit. Haven't had as much time to look at it because of day job busyness. But
Yeah.
we recently finished a new draft of our annual plan for the year ahead. And behind the scenes of Gobblehead for content, we have that in the plan. So no, it will be looked at and used.
Nice.
Yeah, we're planning another like Gobblefest kind of series of releases come November of this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Gobblehead, there may be a Gobblehead 5. More to come on that. I don't know
Yeah,
if you have
more
any
to come.
updates on that, but
I don't want to talk too soon.
yeah, okay. But also, I wanted to talk a little bit about loads. Now,
Oh yeah.
I saw the what is the word I'm looking for? The trailer
Yeah.
for loads. But is loads not out there yet in its entirety anywhere?
Not yet. So we held that one back because we wanted it. We wanted to give it a proper chance at a film festival run. Like his Cottonmouth and the Gobbleheads. Like Cottonmouth, we put out there immediately because we wanted people to see it. Because it was our first, movie like that, and it turned out to be the first Kino Crew movie. We just wanted people to be able to watch it, make a big splash with it, and so forth. And we did submit Cottonmouth to several film festivals, all of which did not have any kind of premiere restriction on them. But even if a festival's criteria doesn't say there's a premiere restriction on it, it still is treated as like a rule that it should be like kept off the internet or other places if it's still out there. But we tried it anyhow because we're like, what the hell? And it got accepted to a couple festivals and it's won a couple awards, so it ended up working out. But yeah, loads we've kept from releasing online, but we do have plans coming up soon that we'll put on our social medias, as far as exhibition and other such details go. But yeah, that's not out there yet because we were letting it do a proper film festival run.
Gotcha.
But that one's almost up. It hasn't gotten in a lot of places, possibly because of its length. I'm not sure because it's nearly 20 minutes long. But if anything, that's an indication where we're going next. Because like a 20-minute short film, it's like, okay, 20 minutes, 3 acts, it works.
Yeah.
Or it's going to get longer until we get up to the feature.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, Loads is about
a
guy. Tell us what it's about.
Yeah, so Loads, the main character of Loads, name's Kevin. He is a tester for a sex toy company. So basically, his job involves jacking off all day and writing up the reports on how the sex toys work. And he eventually becomes addicted, and that's where the story leads us.
Got you. Okay. Well, I can't wait. I can't wait to watch it to completion.
Yes, indeed. It's climactic.
Cool. So what is next for Kino Crew? What do you see or hope for in the future?
Well, definitely eventually a feature at some point. That's what we all want to get to. But in the short term, we're working on a couple of shorter projects because the past couple of years have been a lot of longer, intense projects. So the coming year, you'd call it short form content. In one case, that's sort of it's not the funnest way to put it, but like we're looking at some shorter shorts for the coming year because we want to explore some different ideas, but do it in a way that's like efficient and cost effective. So Alex has some ideas for, I don't want to give too much away, but like Alex has ideas for like a lucha libre style movie in the style of the El Santo movies, Mexican wrestling movies. Josh has a number of ideas that he's working on. I have a full on treatment that could be a feature that Alex and I brainstormed actually while we were doing post production on Gobblehead 4, because we're always thinking of something.
Yeah.
And I want to type that up and see how that could be made. So that's what we're looking at. More shorts for the coming year. We just like wrote out our plans for 2026. Because that's what we do too as part of our just like management style. We'll write out like a planning document for the year ahead so that we know what it is we want to do.
Yeah.
And the routine stays balanced so that no one gets burned out between trying to do this stuff and also like have the rest of their life.
Right.
And also it helps if like people are going out of town or on vacation or something like that, so we can plan around it and make it work. So that's what's coming up.
Do you welcome or have people ever submit ideas to Kino as far as working with other people outside of Kino Crew? Are you guys open to that, or have you done anything like that yet?
There really hasn't been a precedent for that. I mean, like Gobblehead would be the closest thing because we collaborated with Steve-O on the creation of it, but that's sort of uncharted territory for us. We don't really have a precedent yet for that.
Yeah. What is for you personally?
Yeah.
When you look at your life and your ultimate goals, what do you see for yourself?
We'll just continuing with this and, probably working up to making features, hopefully getting some distribution and possibly some character performing work as well. That'd be fun to do because it'd be a low stress alternative to production, but still staying active. I get to be on someone else's set as I mentioned. I don't have to be in charge. Yeah.
Is there any character in particular? I know you were doing kind of like a hillbilly voice. But what characters do you prefer? I know that you like to joke and be silly, but like, are there different kind of personalities like inside of you that like you feel you're able to live through, like you had mentioned earlier, but are you able to live out like parts of yourself through some of the characters that you portray?
I suppose so. Like literally any kind of like Midwestern stereotype is really fun to do. The voices for that are fun to do. And like through conversational, do like things like that, like, doing the Midwestern mom voice. Or doing the classic Chicago voice, that's fun too. Or like I like to do I used to do like solo sketch playing a character called Dolores, and I would just do like I would do this New York accent like that. That's fun to do as well.
Wow.
So yeah, that's a little bit of all those things come through.
I wanted to hear, what was your God voice? I'm like, I wanted a sample of that. Do you remember what you did for the God voice that you played?
Oh yeah, I just talked as deeply as I could, like like the main character shouted into the sky, "Why God, why?" And I just responded, "Because I told you to." Is like, is on high as I could think to do the voice.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it a lot.
Yeah, I like a microphone for myself, like off to the side, that then I got to do like the big booming voice. That was fun to do.
I am already thinking of you for characters for when I make a movie someday. I'm like,
oh, cool.
I'm gonna need Nathan to do something wonky and wacky, because I like it. I like it especially because, again, your personality, like, you're not expecting it, and you come out with these outrageous like characters sometimes and voices, and it's funny. It's fun.
Yeah, it's weird. Like all the when it comes to the production and organization side of things, it's like that's not like where I feel like where my natural abilities are. Like all those things I sort of backed into them because like I just had to learn how to do them to to make everything else work.
Yeah.
Because like when it comes to like project size and fundraising, there's only so far you can go if you're just taking money into your personal checking account. You have to adapt to what is expected if you want to raise like 5 figures for something like that. And there's there's the professionalism and the the decorum that comes with that. But like no, like when I don't have to do that stuff, like like I mentioned before, like Mad TV was like my favorite comedy show growing up. I love sketch comedy. Like the Stuart and Lorraine sketches from Mad TV, I can quote those constantly. Dumb and Dumber is my favorite comedy movie. I can quote basically any Austin Powers movie scene pretty well. So yeah, that's like where my sense of humor and like personality like lie most of the time. And I kind of gotta. There are times you kind of gotta put that away for a little bit. Like if you got 12 people on set and we gotta get 7 pages done by the end of the day.
Now, what about the cinematography side of things? What films would you compare your work to, or what you would like to strive to be?
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't know because I sort of adapt to the style that we're aiming for. Yeah, like I wouldn't say I reference any particular cinematographer or film. I just do what works for the story. Like the early like the first 3 Gobbleheads have like have a pretty strong giallo influence in them, and that's something that like Alex introduced me to because I didn't know what that style of
what is it called?
Filmmaking was. The giallo. Yeah, basically characterized by highly stylized camera work and especially like multicolored lighting. Those first couple of Gobbleheads, the first 3 Gobbleheads have that style to them. The reason for that was because of the story that we were telling. We wanted to have a very stylistic look to it. But then when we got to Gobblehead 4, that was very different because now it's a 14-page, nearly like roughly 15-minute long 3-act structure of a short film, not a trailer at that point.
Yeah.
So the style for that had to change a little bit, and because the first half of that is a very very much like a character drama, and then the latter half is the stylistic horror. So that was pretty toned down as far as the cinematography goes because that was, how the story had to be. But like when it came to something like Cottonmouth, like the style for that came from what Alex wanted to do. He told me that his inspirations for it were between Shadow of a Doubt, the Hitchcock movie, and Hereditary. So I watched those 2 movies in the preparation for it. Shadow of a Doubt I'd seen before because I went through a big Hitchcock phase, as I think everyone does who gets interested in filmmaking. So I rewatched Shadow of a Doubt, and then I watched Hereditary, which I hadn't seen before, which is really fun to watch. And I used what I could from those 2 to make Cottonmouth work. Basically sticking with very specific focal lengths, and working with as composed compositions as I could, or that's a really amateur way to say it, but like being as deliberate as with the choices as we could with the coverage and with the placement of actors, because that made it cleaner and easier to film, and we got our coverage quicker.
It's interesting because right now we're in black and white. Have you ever thought about doing a black and white film?
Oh yeah. The coming year, that's one of the ideas Alex has. He wants to do it in black and white, so
Nice.
that's what we'll be doing.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But because I haven't really done any black and white before, but I would love to try it because there are some stories where that just works better, and there are stylistic aspects of black and white that I like better than color.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's a whole nother world, like in black and white, working with all like that light and darkness. But that's why it is. You mentioned Hitchcock, obviously. He's great to watch, and just some of the shots are just like work so much better because it's black and white. But
Yeah.
those shots I think are hard to find. It's way more difficult to find those moments. But if you do, it can be really striking.
Yeah, you just have to light it properly. Like when what was the Del Toro movie that came out a couple of years ago about the circus geek. I can't remember the name. I can't remember the name of it, but we saw the theatrical release version of it, which was in color, in December 21 or whenever it came out. And that was a lot of fun. And then we saw the music box. We went to see the black and white version, and it looked like dog shit because it wasn't lit for that. No.
Yeah. Something you were mentioning about, and I believe you were talking about loads.
Yeah.
Was with how you use the color, like you stylized using warm and cool light to kind of enhance the mood of the scenes. I believe it was loads.
Oh yeah, I can talk about that.
Yeah, I think that's very interesting because I don't know, have you ever seen The Ballad of Buster Scruggs?
I haven't seen that one yet.
Okay, well, you got to check it out. Coen Brothers. But there's a scene in it where basically they're in a carriage and they're traveling. But in this scene, the light changes from warm to cool. Because essentially they're like dying on this like carriage ride.
Yeah.
But that sticks with me just because it's like in that scene you feel it change from warm to cold, and it's almost like you feel like you have, went cold and died yourself, really. So lighting is just so important to the mood, and I thought that was really cool what you were talking about. So yeah, tell us more about how you work with stylizing colors.
Sure. I'll talk about like how it is with loads, because like the Gobbleheads are kind of all over the place. Yeah, and going in with influences too. A lot of my, now that I'm thinking more about it, a lot of my influences come through painting, because I also oil paint. I haven't done it for a long time, but I used to oil paint quite a lot.
And what would you paint?
Like impressionistic landscapes. So like impressionism and expressionism are two like my favorite movements. So that's also where a lot of stylistic influence comes from, just like using the color to convey the mood directly and like blatantly. So like for example, Cottonmouth has some bits that go between light and dark, but not as much as the Gobbleheads. The Gobbleheads are like very blatant about it because they have that strong giallo lighting. Like if it is a scary murder scene, we literally just use like red and green or like red and blue light to make that apparent.
Yeah.
But for loads, that's where it is all really dependent on story. So for example, the scenes where the main character is on a video chat with his boss, we made that pretty desaturated. Just like using natural light and natural light augmented by our LED lights for keys and fills as needed. That's kind of how I light these scenes. I just like look for where the light is coming from already, and then I'll augment it as needed if that works for the story. And generally that does, like if we want a naturalistic look. Like for loads, we filmed most of loads at my condo. So like we transformed my living room into the main character's office. And so for example, during scenes when he's doing video chats with his boss, we just like, fortunately it was a nice cloudy day, but if it weren't, I would put, tracing paper on the windows if I needed to. Mm-hmm. We started with the light coming in from outside, and then I just set up our LED lights for keys and fills and set those lights to the color temperature that matched what the sun was doing. And then we just made sure we had the right color temp set up on the camera. And we got the nice desaturated natural look that way. For scenes when he's video chatting with his eventual, romantic interest, we made the lighting look like a slightly stylized version of what might be coming from the computer screen. So we used like not blue light, but like we set the color temp of the cameras to like be slightly bluer, along with the LEDs, setting them to like a slightly bluer color temp.
Interesting.
Yeah, and filmed it that way. And then for the scenes where we cut to, his cam girl romantic interest, her name is April Showers, we made that like, we gave that a very red color because like red and blue, perfect complements. It conveys where they're coming from. We got the warmth and we got of her presence, and we got the kind of the coldness of his like sort of our lonely life. And when we have scenes that take place in a doctor's office too. We just made those as stark as possible. Just the color, like production design, the lighting, just like stark white and sterile looking. We have a couple scenes that are very like warm and domestic in nature, where we did something similar with the color temp of the. We just made sure the color temp of the lights in the camera were set a bit warmer, not too much, so it doesn't look unnatural, but just so it looked like, for example, a nice like, golden sunset light was coming into the room.
Yeah.
So that's how we do it, basically. Just like you look for what you need for the scene, and you adjust the style for what the story needs.
Are there any old-fashioned, like special effects or techniques that you found work better, or that you would like to try and use in the future? For example, like a lot of Jerry's special effects, and I mean you guys are doing special effects with a lot of your films, obviously. But like with Jerry, with the puppetry, it's interesting to me because like that is. There's been advancements in films where you could easily do that, with a computer.
Yeah.
But he's doing it with a puppet, and what's old becomes new again. And me with the 8mm film footage, like it has a feel to it. I forget what it's called, but there's like vaporwave.
Yeah.
But so is there anything that you can think of that you have used or would like to use as an old school technique for filmmaking?
Oh, sure.
Special effects.
Yeah, like going off puppets, we've talked about puppetry a couple times. We have a couple ideas that could use some puppetry. I think using a split diopter lens at one point would be kind of cool. I think doing a matte painting would be cool, because that is much easier to do with digital technology, but still we would, do the image on glass or through a prism or what have you to make it show up. Hanging models would be cool too, because you don't have to worry about the light matching in post, because it's all shot on the day. I think other kinds of model work would be fun as well. They'd all be fun because, like, while they're, analog, non-CGI techniques, the combination of those elements with your live action plates that's easier to do in the computer. So I think that's like an optimal combination of using technology and skills, like the older school techniques of using models and mats and so forth, but you get to combine them. You get to do the compositing in the computer, where it's a lot easier. Yeah. So yeah, I think those would be cool.
Well, you'll have to keep me in mind for future projects that you and Kino are doing, and I'll definitely be keeping you in mind for mine.
Oh, definitely. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I think the old school stuff is cool. Black and white is cool, but also doing something with a green screen, something futuristic and silly, is also funny and cool. But yeah, it's exciting. It's an exciting time in Chicago right now, and I feel like I'm building a network, like as I'm trying to cross over from comedy to film.
Yeah.
Just being inspired by a lot of the filmmakers I've met and the friends I've made. And yeah, it's just been really neat to be friends with you and Alex, and to see Gobblehead. I was at, I forget what festival it was, but I saw the whole crew was there, and they played numerous, I don't think they played the fourth one at that one, but I think they played 1, 2, and 3. You know what one I'm talking about?
At the Halloween at Hairpin, or which?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, 4 was in post then, but 3, 1, 2, and 3 were screened there, and those ones make a trilogy anyhow, so they work together.
They do.
Yeah.
And they're all so great. It's cool because the more friends I've made, I watch movies and I'm like, hey, I know that person. I know that person. So it's cool. There's a lot of comedians that are also actors and actresses. And you guys have had just so many people in your movies that it's been really, entertaining to watch and see, and the movies are so entertaining. They're goofy, they're funny, they're freaky, they're gory, like all of it. They're all of it, and it's really cool what you guys are doing.
Cool. Happy you like it.
Yeah, I do, and I'm excited to collaborate more with Kino Crew, just with you guys, and just definitely keep each other in mind for future projects.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But yeah, is now to close us out. Did you say you had some updates for us, some Facebook updates or something from Kino Crew like that you needed to share?
Oh yeah, I'd have to say we have news about future events and releases coming up, hinted at through today's Facebook page. So please watch out for those on at Kino Crew Productions on Instagram and Kino Crew Productions on Facebook. We also have an email newsletter. So
Yes.
if you go to Instagram, our link tree at the top, one of the links in the link tree is to our email newsletter.
Cool.
So yeah, we can connect with all audiences, people who aren't on social media as much or not at all. You can sign up for our newsletter.
I am an email member.
Yes, happy to hear it. Yeah, we put a lot of work and pride into the email newsletters, and we've gotten some compliments about it. So
That's cool.
yeah, that's not to go on for too much longer, but that's where like our skills outside of filmmaking come in, because Josh works for a marketing agency, and one of the things he does is put email newsletters together for their clients. So that's an area where our outside skills have worked out.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, and I've actually thought about doing a newsletter type thing for coming up comic and film, but it is inspiring seeing what you guys are doing, because it reminds me of like work, but something like I always kind of liked. I would like read the newsletter. I'm like, oh, but it's even better because it's not work. Like it's fun stuff. Like, so it is neat updates to read, and it's cool to see what you guys are doing. And yeah, I'm just excited to see what's next for Kino in 2026.
Yeah, same. Yeah, we got as mentioned, we have the drafts of our annual plan together, and I basically spent all last weekend working on just laying out the tasks, and everyone's working on their parts right now. So yeah, everything's planned out. So stay tuned.
Stay tuned. So give us, to close us out, like in your experience from when you were a young man and you thought films were cool and you might want to do this, to now, like what advice would you have for someone out there who's maybe trying or desiring to do filmmaking, writing, art, animation? What are some words of encouragement that you could give somebody?
Oh, okay. Yeah. A lot, I'd say. One that I think is helpful is take breaks if you need to, because burnout is real. Also, try whatever it is you're interested in. Because all these different art forms like work off each other somehow. That's one of the things I love about filmmaking, is it combines so many different art forms: the visual, the auditory, music, acting, performance, and so forth. Those are two big ones. I can't if more come to mind, I'll bring them up.
No, that's good. Definitely keeping at it, and that's something you've done, like and that's inspirational, because some people are afraid to ever start, and it's neat that you've been doing it since such a young age, and you're still doing it now.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's fun, and every good thing that's happened is because I went and tried to do something. Like, not often do things like happen to me. I have to like make them happen.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, like persistence, I'd encourage that too. Persistence with taking breaks is needed.
Yeah.
I'm not really into. I mean, like there are times when you just have to like, plow ahead and get the work done, but I'm not really about the hustle culture for its own sake.
Yeah.
That just sucks.
Yeah. No.
if it's for the pursuit of something some goal you have, that's good. But if it's just for its own sake, it's like, Nah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had to do that too. It's like you can't take it too serious. Anything like there are deadlines to be met, but it's also like you can't make yourself crazy to
Yeah.
make it.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, this has been awesome.
Oh, cool. Happy to hear it.
Nathan Oelker in the house. It's been so great hearing about Kino Crew. Sign up for the Kino Crew newsletter. Follow them on Instagram, on YouTube, and see what's next. Check out Gobblehead, and I'm sure loads will be coming out shortly.
Soon. Soon, maybe. Keep an eye out. I can't give away too much right now.
Hoping soon for loads. Pun intended. But yeah, thank you so much to Nathan Oelker for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me. This was fun.
Yes, and this has been episode 18, by the way. I don't think I
cool.
mentioned that at the top, so we're like legal with this episode.
Oh, nice. Yeah, 18 was my class number when I was in 3rd grade. I don't know why I remember that.
Hey,
So, that worked out somehow.
cool. It was meant to be here
Yay.
on Coming Up Comic and Film. But this has been Kelly McGee with Coming Up Comic and Film. Episode 18 is in the books with my buddy Nathan Oelker from Kino Crew. Give us a like, follow, subscribe, so we keep doing this thing. Thank you guys. Peace.